Did you know that one scene in Good Times led to the show being canceled? It was a hit TV series in the 1970s, but that one moment really upset a lot of people. So, what was it about this scene that caused such a huge reaction? What happened in it that got viewers and network bosses so worked up? Well, here's the scoop. Good Times was one of those iconic shows that people still remember fondly. It first aired on February 8, 1974, and ran until August 1, 1979. The show quickly became a classic, telling the story of the Evans family, a black family living in a Chicago housing project. It didn't shy away from tough topics like poverty, family struggles, and the hope of making it through hard times. Even though it focused on a black family, the themes resonated with all sorts of people from different backgrounds. One of the best things about Good Times was how it balanced serious moments with humor. The characters made us laugh even during difficult situations. Florida Evans, played by Esther Rolle, was the heart of the show, a strong and loving mom trying to keep her family together. James Evans, played by John Amos, was a hard-working father, always doing his best to support his family, even if it meant juggling a couple of jobs. Their relationship showed love and respect, making them easy to connect with. The show actually spun off from Maude, which was part of Norman Lear's famous sitcoms in the 70s. But Good Times wasn't created by Lear. It was the brainchild of Eric Monte and Michael Evans. They wanted to share a story about the lives of black families, something that wasn't often seen on TV back then. The producers aimed to mix family values with real struggles, which made the show feel unique and special. It featured a talented black cast, many of whom were already well-known comedians, portraying a close-knit family that viewers could really root for. It seemed like the perfect show. But even though the show was adored by so many, it wasn't all smooth sailing. The Evans family's struggles were tough but relatable. But behind the scenes, things weren't always so bright. People started to wonder what was really going on, and it turns out there were some dark and troubling things happening that many fans didn't know about. It's pretty hard to believe that a show which brought so much joy to so many had such a tough behind-the-scenes reality for its cast. Some of the actors revealed some pretty shocking things about the show in a long interview with the Archive of American Television. They shared how the trouble started early on, when there were no African American writers in the writing room. This led to some issues with how the characters were written, which didn't always reflect real-life black experiences. One of the biggest frustrations was that the writers, most of whom were white, didn't really understand what life was like in the black community. Actor John Amos, for example, would often challenge them by asking, "How long have you been black?" because some of the things written in the scripts just didn't ring true. He wasn't always the most diplomatic about it, but it made sense. Who better to write about a black family than someone who actually lived it? Amos felt like the writers didn't fully understand how to portray a black family in a meaningful way. One of the main problems was that too much of the focus was on Jimmy Walker's character, JJ, who was all about jokes and silly catchphrases like "Dynamite," instead of showcasing the dreams and aspirations of the other two kids, Thelma and Michael. Amos thought the scripts were missing out on exploring their potential, especially since both characters had so much more depth. Thelma and Michael, played by Bernadette Stannis and Ralph Carter, had big dreams. Thelma wanted to be a doctor, and Michael had aspirations of becoming a Supreme Court justice. Amos felt that the show should have highlighted these ambitions more, as they would have been a better example for young viewers. He wasn't jealous of JJ's popularity, but he did think it was a mistake to make it seem like Thelma and Michael's dreams didn't matter. And it turns out, Amos wasn't the only one who felt this way. Many of the cast members shared his frustrations with the lack of balance in the way the characters were portrayed. Esther Rolle, who played Florida Evans, had her own concerns about how her character and the others were portrayed on Good Times. She felt that her on-screen son, JJ, played by Jimmy Walker, was being turned into a character who didn't think much and wasn't a good role model. In an interview with Ebony magazine, she said, "He's 18, he doesn't work, he can't read or write, and he doesn't think." Esther was really upset about how the show was leaning into negative stereotypes, and she wasn't having any of it. Meanwhile, John Amos had his own frustrations with the show's direction. He wasn't afraid to share his strong opinions, and unfortunately, he wasn't always the most diplomatic about it. He admitted that he could be confrontational, and the producers didn't appreciate that. Over time, the tension between Amos and the producers got so bad that they decided it would be easier to let him go. The producers even suggested, "Why don't we just get rid of him and move on?" This experience taught Amos a tough lesson. He wasn't as crucial to the show as he thought. Although at first they said he left to focus on his film career, Amos revealed the truth in a 1976 interview. Norman Lear, the show's creator, called him and told him his contract wouldn't be renewed. Amos saw it as being fired. Instead of recasting James Evans, they decided to write him off the show in the two-part Season 4 premiere, The Big Move. It was revealed that James had died in a car accident while trying to start a new business in Mississippi. This was a huge moment for the show, and viewers felt the loss deeply, as it was tough for the family to cope without their father figure. The show had many ups and downs, especially as characters and storylines shifted. Esther Rolle stuck around for that season, but eventually she decided it was time to leave too. The writers treated her character a bit better, and Florida was written off by having her remarry and move to Arizona, leaving the Evans kids to handle life on their own. The shift in the Evans family dynamic really changed the vibe of the show as Good Times entered its 5th season. The focus moved to the remaining Evans kids as they tried to navigate life without their parents. While this season introduced some memorable storylines, like Janet Jackson's role as Penny, a child with a tough background, it wasn't enough to stop the ratings from dropping. By the time Season 6 rolled around, CBS and the producers knew they needed to make a change fast. Steve Mills, a CBS vice president, said the show lost its heart without parental guidance. After listening to feedback from fans, it became clear they needed to bring back what made the show special. Esther Rolle, who played Florida Evans, agreed to return, but only with some conditions. She wanted a pay raise and better storylines for her character. In the Season 6 premiere, Florida's Homecoming Part 1, Florida came back from Arizona just in time for Thelma's wedding to football player Keith Anderson. Her return brought some much-needed hope to the show, but sadly, it didn't help the ratings enough. Despite her return, CBS decided to cancel Good Times during the 1978-1979 season. The series finale, The End of the Rainbow, tied up the characters' stories with some nice moments. JJ finally got his big break as a comic book artist, creating a character named Dino Woman, inspired by Thelma. Meanwhile, Michael went off to college and Keith's knee healed, allowing him to return to football. Although the show's ending was shocking to fans, it only made them more curious about what had happened to the cast members. Nearly 50 years later, Good Times still left a huge mark on the entertainment world, with many of its cast members continuing to act, while others went down different paths. Sadly, a few of them have passed away. Before becoming a household name on Good Times, John Amos was already making waves in the theater world, even starting his own theater company. His passion for acting was clear. Amos first became a TV star with a role on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, which helped him gain recognition. But his biggest role came in the 1970s when he joined Good Times as James Evans, a loving father trying to provide for his family in a tough neighborhood. Unfortunately, after 3 years on the show, Amos left due to disagreements with the show's creator. Many people were shocked when John Amos left Good Times, but his departure highlighted how important it is for actors to feel comfortable with the stories they're telling. Amos admitted he wasn't the most diplomatic in those days, and the producers got tired of dealing with his strong opinions, especially when it came to jokes that didn't sit right with him. He even said the producers were getting tired of having their lives threatened over certain jokes. In 1977, Amos starred in the powerful miniseries Roots, a role that earned him an Emmy nomination. This performance helped him reach a wider audience and really cemented his place in Hollywood. Amos continued to build his career, appearing in several films, including the classic Coming to America, where he starred alongside Eddie Murphy. Despite all his success, Amos has always valued his family life. He's a proud father of 6 children from 3 different relationships. These days, he enjoys a quieter life in Toms River, New Jersey. While he has made headlines for personal matters, he hasn't returned to acting recently, preferring to focus on his family and a life away from the spotlight. Esther Rolle, best known for her role as Florida Evans on Good Times, was already an established stage actress before she joined Maude. Viewers loved her character so much that they wanted to see more of her, and she quickly became a fan favorite. After Maude ended, Esther continued acting, taking on smaller roles in films like Driving Miss Daisy and My Fellow Americans. She also had key roles in various TV shows, and her hard work paid off with several awards. One of her biggest achievements came in 1978 when she won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a limited series for her role in the TV film Summer of My German Soldier. This was a proud moment for Esther, proving her talent beyond Good Times. Esther wasn't just an actress, she was a role model. She often spoke about the importance of family and community, striving to showcase strong, positive characters on screen, especially for African Americans. Her work paved the way for future actors and actresses to follow in her footsteps. Sadly, Esther passed away on November 17, 1998, at the age of 78 after battling diabetes. She left behind her ex-husband Oscar Robinson, whom she married in 1955 and separated from in 1975. They didn't have children together. As for Jimmy Walker, best known for playing J.J. Evans, he didn't always see Hollywood as his future. In fact, his first love was basketball, but after that didn't work out. He tried a few different jobs before finding his way into acting. Jimmy Walker decided to give comedy a try after trying a few different paths, and it turned out to be the right choice. He started by performing as the opening act for a group called The Last Poets, and that's where his comedy career kicked off. His big break came when he was cast as JJ, the oldest son on Good Times. Even though he was 27 at the time, he played a much younger character, and his performance quickly made him a household name. During his time on the show, Walker also appeared in other TV shows and movies like Fantasy Island and Let's Do It Again. His famous catchphrase, "Dynamite," became iconic, and for a while he was one of the most recognized faces on television. After Good Times ended, Walker struggled to stay in the TV spotlight, but luckily he had another talent to fall back on: stand-up comedy. He had been doing stand-up even before his TV career took off, and today he still tours the country performing comedy about 25 to 30 weeks a year. Ralph Carter, who played Michael Evans, the youngest son in the family, became famous for his role on Good Times. At the time, he was just a teenager, but he wasn't new to acting. At only 9 years old, Ralph made his Broadway debut in the musical The Me Nobody Knows. This early experience helped him grow as an actor, which he showcased on the show. While on Good Times, Ralph also developed a passion for music. In 1975, he released an album called When You're Young and in Love, and even appeared on the famous show Soul Train to promote it. After this busy period, he took a long break from the spotlight. In 2016, Ralph reunited with his Good Times co-stars John Amos, Bernadette Stannis, and Jimmy Walker to celebrate the show's 40th anniversary. They did interviews and appeared on shows like Extra TV and The Steve Harvey Show. Today, Ralph is the vice president of Odello, the Audience Development Committee, Inc., an organization that honors Black theater in the tri-state area. He's passionate about supporting local and Black theater, not just for the actors, but for everyone involved in the production. Each year, Odello hosts the Viv Awards to recognize the hard work of those in the theater world and offers seminars, lectures, and other activities for young people interested in the arts. Janet Jackson, often remembered for playing the friendly neighbor Willona Woods on Good Times, was also a talented performer. Beyond acting, she was a dancer, singer, and songwriter, showcasing her wide-ranging skills. On stage was where Janet Jackson's career in the entertainment industry got its start. Before making the transition to television, she began her acting career in the theater, where she gained a great deal of experience and knowledge about the industry. She became a regular on the soap opera Love of Life, where she was one of her first parts. As a result, she gained greater attention and notoriety in the entertainment industry. Janet received a Peabody Award in 1969 for her portrayal in the CBS film JT, which was a significant accomplishment that brought her name to the attention of a large number of people. The films I'm Gonna Get You Sucka and Charlie's Angels Full Throttle were only two of the many films in which she appeared. She continued to thrive in both the film and television industries. The amazing voiceover work that Janet did garnered her 2 Emmy Awards, demonstrating that her brilliance was not limited to acting alone. Aside from her work as an actress, Janet possessed a big heart and a strong desire to assist other people. She established the Pan-African Film and Arts Festival, which is a celebration of talent from individuals of African origin. This festival has become a vital venue for artists to express their work through the medium of film and art. As a further demonstration of her dedication to giving back to the community, Janet established the Dubois Care Foundation, which is an initiative that aims to encourage and assist young people in their pursuit of artistic endeavors. In spite of her achievements, Janet had to contend with a number of obstacles, including personal losses. As a result of cardiac arrest, she passed away on February 17, 2020, which led many people to be taken aback by her passing. Fans all over the world expressed their sorrow over the passing of a person who was both talented and loving. She is known not only for her acting, but also for her contributions to the arts and her commitment to assisting others. Janet Jackson is remembered for all of these things. It is through the numerous people whose lives she changed and the significant projects that she initiated that her legacy will continue to endure. One of the new cast members for the 5th season of Good Times was Janet, who played the role of Penny, a little girl who had a difficult existence. During one of the most horrific episodes, Penny's mother attacked her with a hot iron while Penny pleaded with her mother to spare her from getting wounded. The challenges that Penny had to overcome were brought to light by this poignant occasion. Penny, on the other hand, was eventually able to find a loving home with her neighbor, Willona Woods, and she formed a romantic infatuation with JJ, who was Thelma's brother. Janet Jackson was in the public eye at the time because she was known as the younger sister of Michael Jackson, whose band, the Jackson 5, had been successful since 1969. In addition to Good Times, Janet Jackson had a long and successful career. Following her time on the show, she went on to make appearances on other well-known television programs such as Different Strokes and Fame. In spite of this, it was her career in music that truly took off, and she has since established herself as a legendary figure in the field. In the year 2024, she embarked on a tour that was dubbed Together Again, and was met with enthusiastic support from her devoted followers. Janet's ascent to the top of the entertainment industry is a demonstration of the extraordinary skill she possesses. Over the course of several decades, she has been front and center, leaving an indelible mark with her singing as well as her acting. She is still being celebrated by her fans, which helps to keep her legacy alive. She is an artist who continues to be an inspiration to many people in the present day. Janet Jackson is not merely a name from the past. As a result of her acting or her singing, she continues to be a star that will be remembered forever. Bernadette Stannis, who is possibly best recognized for her performance as Thelma Evans on the television show Good Times, had also a big influence on the show as well as the entertainment industry. She brought elegance and grace to her portrayal of Thelma, which resulted in audiences falling in love with her. In spite of the fact that performing was a significant part of her life, Stannis was also interested in other things. It was a defining point in her career when she tried out for the role of Good Times when she was only 18 years old. It has been brought to her attention that her mother was a significant contributor to her accomplishments, as she was the one who inspired her to overcome her anxiety as she was getting ready for a pageant. Her success in landing the part of Thelma was aided by this support. Following the conclusion of Good Times, Stannis maintained her career as an actress by performing in a number of films and plays, including a significant part in the film 36-Hour Layover, which was released in 2016. Stannis did not cease being innovative, despite the fact that many people believe that this was her final performance on film screen. The fact that she was able to achieve success in more than one creative sector was demonstrated by the fact that she turned to writing and published 5 books that garnered her respect in the world of literature. Stannis's life has also grown centered around his family in recent years. Dior is the daughter that she has with her husband Terrence Red, whom she married. After that, she tied the knot with Kevin Fontana, and the couple became the parents of her second daughter, Brittany. Stannis attaches a great deal of significance to the position of mother, and she takes this responsibility very seriously, while simultaneously maintaining a successful job. It is true that Nadette Stannis has gone a long way since she played Thelma on the television show Good Times. She brought up 2 great children who love her very much, and her life that she is living now is centered on her family and her own personal development. In spite of the fact that she is primarily remembered for her iconic part, she has demonstrated that success can be achieved in a variety of ways, whether through acting, writing, or being a caring mother. Stannis continues to serve as a source of motivation and a reminder that achieving success in life encompasses more than just achieving popularity. It also involves cultivating relationships and pursuing one's unique passions. The demise of the television show Good Times in 1979 rendered a big hole in the annals of television history. The show had left an indelible mark, addressing significant problems such as racism and poverty, while simultaneously incorporating humor and heart into its presentation. A great number of viewers were taken aback by the conclusion of the episode, with several of them suggesting that it could have explored family and community difficulties in greater depth. The television show Good Times continued to have an impact on subsequent series by demonstrating that sitcoms are capable of addressing serious and real-world topics even after it had ended. In the present day, the show is hailed as a breakthrough masterpiece because it demonstrated the resiliency and tenacity of a family in the face of hardship. Because of its enduring history, audiences and producers alike continue to be inspired to share stories that are genuine and meaningful. The film Good Times continues to be a well-liked classic that imparts valuable life lessons about the importance of family, tenacity, and optimism.